Hello and good morning, Floralpreneurs. It is I, Alison Ellis, coming at you live for our first Tuesday Q&A in July. So thanks for being here. Thanks for tuning in, whether you're watching me live or on a replay. I'm going to do my usual thing and hop on over to Facebook and see that I'm actually here and live, and it looks like I am. So thanks so much for being here, you guys. I took June as a break, although I don't know if I ever worked as hard as I worked this June on all kinds of different things, particularly around wedding and event safety, as you may know, if you've been following along for the month of June. If you're new here, if this is your first time seeing a live stream or seeing me at all, welcome. I'm Alison Ellis of realflowerbusiness.com. I am a floral designer, I'm a floral educator, and what I'm most passionate about is helping florists succeed in business. So if you're new here, that is what I do. I'm all about I love floral design. Like, that's what brought me into this. But I'm really, really passionate about business as well, particularly the art of good business, doing business really well. Not just how do you make money, but how do you build a great brand? How do you keep attracting great customers? How do you have an excellent website that does work for you so that you're pre-qualifying clients? All the pieces that are super duper necessary and nothing that you learn, frankly, at flower shops or in floristry school, if you do actually live in a country where you get to go to floristry school. As you probably know, in the US, we don't really have that much going on in terms of colleges here. And so it's always, really exciting when people do find an education situation here, whether it's something, I know some people teach in high school, some people actually seek out a floral college, but in some countries, it is the norm for you to go to school and learn floral design, but they don't actually teach you all this other stuff. So that's where we kind of are on a level playing field. However you learn to design, you're still probably not learning this kind of business stuff. So anyway, that's why I'm here and that's what I do. Good morning. Good morning. Nice to see you again. Thank you so much for tuning in, Robin. It's great to see you here live. Thanks for tuning in. So I want to hop right into it. First of all, I want to thank you for, still staying tuned and active in the group, even though I wasn't coming in live every Tuesday. I really needed a break after, I think it was 24 weeks in a row of Tuesday Q&As. So I am planning to be back to it. So you can set your calendar, set your schedule for Tuesdays at 11. If you didn't already see my teaser, I've got Francois Weeks joining me next week here in the group. Oh, just a little brag session. And we're going to talk, we'll talk next week. You'll see what we're going to talk about next week. So yeah, Tuesday, July 14th, you'll see Francois Weeks here in our group. And today, what I really want to talk to you about are, if you follow me on Instagram, I posted yesterday like these three essential things that florists need to know. And while we all need to know, again, the design basics, right? We need to know those things. What we also, and importantly, need to know are how to attract good clients, right? How to attract what's a good client, right? Everyone's definition will be different. So how do you get in touch with who your good client is and speak directly to them so you can attract them? It's no small feat, you guys. No small feat at all. But it's essential. It's an essential thing for you to do with your business. Attract clients who are eager to work with you. Not just any clients, not clients who are like, can you just give me a price on this? Clients who want to work with you. That's an essential piece of your business, right? The next essential piece of your business is, now that you've attracted this great client, how do you close the sale, right? Sales systems that actually result in you having an easier path for the client to get to yes, meaning it's easier for you to get the client to say yes, and it's easier for the client to see that they are a solid yes, right? So it's these two streams of how do we get to yes. And that's what we do with our sales systems. These are our emails, our proposals, the way we follow up, the way we set a deadline, the way we decline work, right? All of these things are part of our sales system to make sure that we get those eager clients to a yes instead of turning an eager client into someone who ghosts you because you don't have that system in place, right? So that's really important. And of course, the third thing, which, based on my reputation may sound like the first thing, but turning a profit, right? If you're new here, I have a course called Flower Math, which is designed to teach florists, flower farmers, anyone who wants to sell flowers, how to mark up your flowers, how to apply a design fee, how to place your orders so you don't overspend. Turning a profit on every order is an essential part of your business. So while I've listed it third here, it's not the least important, right? It's not the least important piece. However, you'll never get to that consistent profit if you're not attracting the right clients and closing the sale. Okay, so if nothing else for the month of July, I want you to really look inward and think about how well you're doing at these three essential things. How well are you attracting clients who are eager to work with you? They already like you. How well are you closing the sale? Now, I want to be clear on this. This doesn't mean that you have to book everybody you send a quote to. That's not it. But when they're a right fit, how do you seamlessly get them to a yes, right? And then your profit. Now, this is a tricky time. And I've got some questions here from you guys this week that are really, really excellent. And I'm going to dive into those in a minute. But, one of the questions is, I have to take small jobs now. And I was turning away from that, right? How do I keep moving forward when I'm kind of taking a step back? So the profit piece is really important, and you do need to monitor your profit on everything. Big chance this year is not going to be your most profitable year, right? Real good chance. I'd be willing to bet money that this is not going to be your most profitable year in business, unfortunately. However, we can still get ourselves on track to make sure that we're tracking the profits that we are making and making the most out of the work that we do have. Okay, so that's kind of the track I want to take us down today. Hey, good morning, Victoria. Good morning, Catherine. So here's the first thing. I was thinking today, even though I do live streams all the time, last night I was thinking, what do I really want to do? What's my real intention to be like, hey, why don't you block out time and sit here with me? What am I really doing? And it's always, what value do I have to share? What's your intention, right? That's always where I start everything. What's your intention? So what struck me is this feeling of really thinking about what matters at the core right now. So if you're somebody who was about to have your best year yet, and then not so much, what do you do? How do you focus? What do you spend your time on? Do you drift away from your business because, well, it's not really busy right now anyway? Or do you drill down and really focus on your business? So people are going to be in different lanes on that in terms of what they need to do personally or professionally. But what I want you to think about is the core of your business, the core. When you have a strong core, right? We know this from like exercise, right? You have a strong core, everything else is easier because you're not straining muscles, right? That you don't need to be using. You're working from the center, right? So if you're not sure what to do, if you're in a little funky place, right? Let's really drill down on your core. What is your core? Okay, your core values, your core mission statement, right? For me, core desired feelings, right? How do you want to feel in your life, in your business? But it's the heart, right? That's what the core of your business is. It's the heart. And focusing on the heart of your business right now is worth your effort, okay? I just want to repeat that for clarity. Focusing on the heart of your business is worthwhile right now. So what do I mean by this? Getting your messaging together, getting yourself re-centered into what do you want to do moving forward? How are you moving forward right now? What do you say yes to? What do you say no to? Things you might have said no to last year, you're saying yes to this year. Or maybe not. Maybe it's still a no, right? Because you have a core mission that you need to keep moving towards. So the clearer you are on that core, that heart message, the easier it is to attract clients, right? The easier it is to turn away clients who aren't a good fit. And the easier it will be for you to do the only work that you really can do right now, which is setting yourself up for future work, right? That's the work we need to focus on, is how do we get ourselves set up for whatever that next phase is, for how we do in fact move forward. If you have questions for me, please do feel free to enter them in the chat. I do have to kind of flip back and forth between my screens to see who is asking the question, but I'm always happy to answer your questions here live. However, I'm going to dive into a couple of things that came to me before this live stream. There's always a link so that you can submit, or I shouldn't say there's always, there will from now on always be a link where you can submit questions anonymously when I'm doing a live stream, because I know that not everyone wants like their business out there on Facebook, their questions, their insecurities. And this is a big group. So if you want to keep it private, you can always message me privately and anonymously. I got a couple of questions that came in. Let me start with this one, because I was going to do this one second, but you know, I like to fly by the seat of my pants. I asked a couple questions on this inquiry forum, like, what are you struggling with? How would you describe yourself in your business right now? What are you hoping to achieve? So let me just share a couple of these with you, because I think we can relate to these feelings. Wait, I see a comment coming in here. Robin says, that's what I'm doing, but it's such an unknown and hard to stay motivated. Anything on that? Can you expand on that a little bit? Like, you're trying to do your marketing, but hard to stay motivated. Is that what you're thinking or saying to me? I think that's probably what you're saying. Just let me know if I got that question right. In terms of staying motivated, there is, other than I can come in here once a week and be your cheerleader, right? And I can answer your questions and try to keep you on track. We are self-regulating, right? That is unfortunately who we are as floralpreneurs. There's not usually somebody to tell us what to do. There's nobody to tell us that today's the day you're going to take a course, or today's the day you're going to learn this, or today's the day you're going to finally execute that thing you learned in that course last year, right? There's no one to tell us that except for us. So this motivation, unfortunately, and I say unfortunately because I feel you, it has to come from inside. And that takes work, right? That takes practice. It takes practice to every day be like, I care enough about this to put effort into it, to put time into it. That's sort of the tricky part about being our own bosses, right? She says, I'm working on wedding package offerings, but the future is such an unknown. Yes. Newer florist here. Hard to stay motivated with the work of doing it and getting it up and running. Yeah, I would imagine that to be very, very true, because it is so unknown. And it's hard when you do have a business established, because you already have an expectation of how this should go, and now it's not. So there's two sides to that, right? You could have an opportunity here by not having something to compare it with, where this feels subpar, being a little Pollyanna, but you know, for reals, you could actually find that while it is hard and unknown, this is a time where you can start to dig into, first of all, experimenting. Do people want these smaller packages? If so, what does that look like? If so, what does it work for you? If so, is it profitable, right? Or you can set your sights more into the future. You can talk about the unknown and the fact that what you think we should do is fill in the blank, right? Fill in the blank for your customer. But it's okay to maybe feel a little stutter steppy right now, right? Because it's a little hard to get going, but don't give up just yet, right? And I know you're not, but don't feel discouraged. Just try to focus on the things you are doing right and give yourself a little pat on the back in those moments, right? Like, well, I did that. I got that out. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I have not been on Instagram much in June. I just can't do everything. I can't be everywhere. So I focused on some things I was working on. I finished my book for Florist Review. Raise the roof. Can't wait for you guys to see. And started doing some safety stuff. I'm running, like I've got a bunch of things I'm doing. So that had to be something that's not as important. So did I miss mentions and stories? Yeah, somebody mentioned me and I missed it, right? But again, because I'm focused on my core, right, and what I really care about, I know that I'll live by missing that mention and not being on Instagram all that much. But then yesterday when I posted my 3 essential things, you best believe I was like, I posted on Instagram. So proud of myself, right? So take those moments of victory for yourself and don't beat up on yourself, right? She says, yes, totally. You called it. And that's why I'm here, to keep it real and going. Awesome. And congrats on that too, by the way. Thank you. Yeah, I can't wait for y'all to see my book. Can't wait. So cute. And informative. And all about these 3 essential things, of course, right? That's how I roll. All right, let me dive into this really relatable answer and question that I got from one of our members here. So he said, I said, the question is, what are you struggling with in your business currently? He said, this year I was trying to move away from small jobs. Now that's all there is, right? Hello, everyone just went, yep, I feel you. It's frustrating to have been to a point in my business where I could be saying no to everyday deliveries and tiny weddings, but that's all that's happening right now. So can we all say a collective yes, 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 right? Like if you have, so here's the flip side again, Robin. Once you have gotten to that place, right? You got over this hump and now you feel you've been pushed back. We, myself included, we all who made it to the top of the, right? Just over the hill, we're like, hey, we're doing good. We're cruising. Now we're not cruising so much, right? Now we're like pedaling backwards uphill. So we're with you too, right? Whether you're new or established, you probably need some help staying motivated and focused and finding that clarity. It's hard to find clarity when everything's uncertain. It really, really is. So I just want to say that I relate to this exact sentiment. Like what I'm struggling with is I had it good and now I don't, right? And now I'm back here. So this is where we are, right? This is just where we are. Also, he's having trouble with timely flower procurement. So this is something I haven't had to experience because I haven't done any weddings yet. But he had several orders where the flowers came the day after the wedding. Just hugely frustrating, bummer, waste of money, waste of time, ton of stress, just empathy. Empathy is all I have for that. I asked the question, what do you ultimately hope to achieve in your business? And the answer is, I would like to be at a place where I'm working less for the same profit. And again, I want to hear an amen or a yes, right, from the crowd, from the people in the back there, because this is, I don't want to say this should be everyone's goal because that's a little bit bossy, but it's a really good idea to have one of your goals be that you can work less and make the same or more money. And that's a place where I was at. That's a place where a lot of people were at. And again, now we're pedaling that bike backwards uphill to try to figure out, what do we do now? So we really are all in this together. Even though everyone's having a different experience, we're being impacted by the same really terrible tragedy, right? That's ongoing, especially here in the States. So I asked, how do you qualify yourself? Like, what would you, not qualify yourself. How would you describe yourself? So he says he's an experienced designer who needs to level up his website and branding strategy. And topics, what kind of topics would you like to learn about? Learning to pull the trigger on certain level ups. So this is the time, you guys, even though it feels like an uncertain time to level up, it's a really good time to invest in your business, invest in yourself, invest in whatever that thing is that you know you need to get to the next level, but you're just feeling unsure about it. So for example, he says, I had to purchase a delivery van before I was ready. Now I need some help, like a delivery driver, but I'm not ready, right? So we all need to just dial into that kind of feeling. What do I need to get to the next level? And am I willing to be brave enough to push through the fear of the unknown to get to that place, right? So hire that driver if you feel like that's what you need. Most of the time, we're not ready, right? So my son's playing with a friend today. They have a pool. Maybe they'll swim. I was the kid with the pool growing up. My parents had a pool. And it was freezing. We had a ton of trees. Now that I don't live in the house, the trees are gone. It's this beautiful sunny pool. I'm like, where was this my whole childhood? But anyway, I digress. Freezing cold pool, okay? Always. Freezing cold pool, super shady. And like literally shade from the trees, not sketchy. And every single time I jumped in that pool, I was not ready, right? Because it was freezing. Every single time, not ready. But if you want to swim with your friends, you jump, right? You level up. So there are a lot of times in your life where you're not ready and you do it anyway. So with your business right now, this is the time. This is the time to level up. So it's going to mean different things for different people, right? For some people, it's going to be as simple as figuring out that you need to hire a delivery driver, right? And just being like, I'm doing it. And what's the worst that can happen? That's the other thing with the level up, right? You want to get to that next level. Well, what's the worst that can happen if you're really afraid? If it's going to bankrupt you, well, that's a pretty bad thing. Maybe you should think twice, right? But if the worst that's going to happen is you hire somebody, they're not a great fit, and you let them go, is that the worst thing? Like, could you handle that? Like, are you willing to handle that? Is the question. If the answer is no, then you're not ready. But if you're willing to interview somebody, hire them, maybe do a temporary, like a trial period, then what's really the harm, right? Like, what's the worst thing that can happen? And then you go, oh, I'm actually not afraid of that worst thing that can happen. It's not so bad after all. The last question I ask is there anything else that you'd like to add? He said, I really appreciate this group. It's such a great combination of skill levels / chapters in business where I feel I can be helpful to others and also get help myself. And I am really happy to hear that. And I think that's a big compliment to you guys in the group. So I wanted to make sure to share that with you because it's true. We are, I feel really lucky that everyone is so good and wonderful in here as well. Victoria says that she's talking to a potential long-ish term delivery driver this week. Awesome. She also says Flower Matthew. I always say Flower Matthew. I love it. Thanks for the Flower Math shout out. So let me go back to what I was going to read, the first question. So Emily wrote, and when I asked, what are you struggling with in your business? She said, being able to say no to upcoming weddings in 2021 because I need a better work-life balance. Again, I can hear the collective, yes, sighs and feelings of relatability there, right? Because that is true. We're pushing our weddings to 2021. We're getting inquiries for 2021. How do we manage the new, the old? Are we just going to take on a crazy, overwhelming season next year just to do it, just to try to make up some loss from this year? Everyone's going to have to decide for themselves what that's like. That's why if we get to the core, right? Our core, what matters in your heart, it makes it easier for you to say no to the things that you want to say no to. It's hard. It's so hard to say no when you don't feel like a hell no, right? When something's a hell no, it's easy to say no to. But when something's I'm not sure if this is, right? Then it's not so easy. So when you get clear on your core and how you feel, your heart message, where you're headed with your business, what you want your life to be like, right? Because it's not just your business, it's your life as well. Then it gets easier. It gets easier to say, you know what? I am saying no to that because I will be unhappy. And me being unhappy is not an option. So I will say no, right? We got to dial it in to be able to really, really get to that truth within us. And then that makes it easier for us to be truthful with our customers. And that makes it easier for them to see us and trust us. You build that know, like, and trust factor by being consistent and showing up as you are, right? So the clearer you can be with yourself, the clearer you can be with your customer is like the short answer there. When I asked, what are you hoping to achieve in your business? She said, a great reputation and a good second income for my family. Again, I think so many of us can just say amen to that. That's exactly true. Not most people don't get into floristry because they want to be rich. I want to be a millionaire florist, right? That's not why you do it. You want to have a job you love and a decent income, right? To support your family. That's what we want. I don't want to say we have modest goals, right? Because they're not modest. They're lofty and worthwhile. But it's not about this get rich quick thing, especially not now, right? When your events are canceled. It's how do we serve? How do we have a great reputation where our business is respected and sought after, and support our family, right? Where we make a respectable income that we're happy with. That's why the turning the profit piece is so important in your business. All right, so then how would you describe yourself? She says she's pretty successful in her business so far, but her website and marketing efforts can use an update. So I think that's probably describing, frankly, a really large portion of this group, to be honest. A large portion of people in here are pretty successful, but haven't actually pulled the trigger on a big deep dive into how to make your website super duper amazing, how to make your messaging super duper clear, how to make it so your clients understand that you're the right choice before they even talk to you. So that's the stuff to dial into now. Okay. You can do this work on your own, or I can help you with this kind of stuff. Okay. But it's the kind of work you want to be doing. And finally, what types of topics would you like to learn more about? And Emily said, work-life balance, setting boundaries for response times, especially on weekends and holidays. So again, I think all of these things can tie back into your core values, your core message. If one of your heart messages and your values is, I cherish my time with my family, then your ideal customer is not going to expect you to reply on the 4th of July weekend, right, to an inquiry or a question. They're going to understand because you establish in your sales copy, in the way you talk to them, in the way you present on your website, that family is important to you. And so you spend time with those people, and on the weekends, you're not available. And the right customers respect those boundaries every time. And that is the truth. And here's another truth about that, because I know some people who are like, well, my customers are very wealthy and very demanding, and they expect me to be, on call. Here's the thing. People who have a lot of money, who are, high-powered, big wigs, whatever you want to say your customer is and why they demand your attention, they take vacations, and they probably don't reply to random work emails. Maybe they reply to an emergency if they run some huge company, right? But for the most part, they're not like just checking their email every day when they're on their break. So people should respect your boundaries. And the most important thing, though, is to communicate them. And that's often what's lacking is people go, nobody respects my boundaries, right? And I'm like, well, what did you tell them about your boundaries? And they're like, nothing, yo. I told them nothing. They're just emailing me and they must expect something back. Well, how do you know they expect something back? Well, I don't, but they must, right? They're emailing me, they must. Well, maybe they don't. Maybe they're just emailing you on the holiday weekend and you can get back to them next week, right? So we have to set that internal message for ourselves. What are we willing to do? And for some of you, the answer might be, I reply on my vacation. I reply immediately. I reply on the weekends, right? That's your edge, maybe. That is maybe your edge, that you do that. And so you're there. You're ready to hop on it. But again, everyone has to pick for themselves what matters. What is part of your core messaging? What do you care about, right? That's it. So I know that we can't get enough of talking about COVID. But I got a question that's a really, really good one. Something that a lot of us will likely be dealing with, not just July, but for many months, possibly even for the next year. So here's a email I got from Melissa. Hi, Alison. I was wondering what your thoughts are on the situation I found myself in last week. So the bride's mom called just a few hours before she's supposed to deliver flowers for the daughter's wedding. And she says, the bride just got a call from the doctor. She has a positive COVID-19 test. So yikes. That's what she said here, yikes. Needless to say, the wedding was canceled. It was previously postponed already from May. So long story short, she says, I ended up taking all the bouquets, boutonnieres, small arrangements for the cocktail tables, and her greens and roses for garlands, like stuff she was going to do on site. And she brought it all to a friend's house that afternoon where the bridal party was congregating. So her questions are this. I don't feel right in keeping all the money paid for the delivery plus the setup. It was an hour away for the actual wedding, and she didn't have to go that far. So she says, how much would you refund in this situation? She says, am I right in keeping the money for my cost and time put into the bouquets and boutonnieres, plus the cost of all those greens? And second, she says, what type of clause should I put in my contract should this happen again? And then finally, she says, my fall schedule is full. Should I send a revised contract to all the fall brides to re-sign? Is this allowed? Thank you in advance, Melissa. Okay. I want to thank you back, Melissa, because what Melissa is saying here, some of you are like, oh no, this sounds horrible, right? This could be your life. This is your life. Remember that show? This is your life. Like, this could be your life. This could be my life. This could be your life. What will you do, right? What will you do? So first, I think it's very kind and generous of her to consider refunding a delivery fee that she feels she did not earn. I probably myself personally would consider the same thing. I think you're entitled to keep the money for the product you sold to her, that you worked on, that you made, right? You're entitled to that, especially because you did deliver it. You didn't deliver it to the place that we wanted it to go, to her wedding, but you couldn't because she is a contagious person who could like literally kill people, right? Like, I just want to be super clear with people about how serious this is and why we don't want to mess around with this, okay? This person had no choice but to cancel her wedding, and she did the right thing. She did the right thing by you, and she did the right thing by her guests. And so I think it's very kind and generous of you to do the right thing by her, right? And say, this is the only money I feel like I did not earn, and so I'm going to refund it. And that's your choice as a business owner, whether you want to give someone anything back or nothing at all in that situation. And there are plenty of people who wouldn't give anything back, and I wouldn't necessarily criticize them for that, right? Because you had a contract and it's not your fault that you weren't able to fulfill it, right? Everyone has to, again, when you know your core, you'll notice the theme here, right? When you're at your core, you know what you're comfortable with and what you're not, right? For some people, it'll be hard no. They took their chances. They rolled the dice. They knew what they were getting into, especially at this point, right? And so they're not going to give any money back. So that brings me to your second question here. What type of clause should I put into my contract? So I'm working on this right now. I'll share it with you guys. It'll be something I'll share for free. It's not something I'm going to sell. But I'm coming to terms with what is it that I want to say to my clients. And it also ties into your third question. Should I have my fall clients sign this new addendum? Yes. So what I think we need to work on are two aspects of this. One is, what if you cancel last minute or at whatever point? So if you cancel 3 weeks before, 2 weeks before, 5 days before, 1 hour before, what is your policy? So maybe you need a policy for all of those. If you cancel before I order the flowers, there's this. If you cancel after I order the flowers, it's this. If you cancel and I've already arranged your flowers, no refund, right? Like, what is and I'm just throwing that out there. You can come up with your own thing. You can come up with 3 weeks ahead, no refund. Up to you. I'm just saying you got to think these through. Again, core, what matters to you? How do you feel? What risk are you willing to take? And what risk are they willing to take? Because this isn't even something I thought of until just now, but I want them to sign a contract accepting that they're taking the risk, that they know that this thing exists and that it might impact their wedding at this point. But we're also taking that risk, right? By keeping them under contract and being on the books with them, we know we're taking a risk that they might have to cancel, right? They might have to back out of this because the bride gets her positive COVID test on the morning of her wedding. Wow, what a treat, right? Poor thing. And I hope that she gets well soon, right? That's the thing. This isn't a small little thing like, oh, well, she got a test and it's positive and whatever, right? It could turn into a whole saga in her life, in her whole family's life. God knows if she saw all those bridesmaids the day before or anything like that. Like, seriously, people, understand the risks, okay? If you haven't seen it, I've got a ton of safety videos. Maybe I'll post a little link to the playlist on YouTube for you. It is so important to understand that you know the risk you're taking and you understand the risk they're taking, because you yourself, and God forbid this, right? But you yourself could come down with COVID and be unable to fulfill your contract. So how does this mutually work for you guys in terms of if one of you cancels moving forward? All right. And definitely have them sign a new contract, because I will be doing that. Again, I don't have this worked out yet because I really need to think about what it is I want to say. I don't even know that I care so much that it's legal. I don't need a liability release that you're not going to hold me liable if anybody has COVID at your wedding, right? That's like, we were worried about that in April. That's old news now, right? I'm not worried about liability. What I'm worried about is, what's our agreement if you cancel last minute? Who's getting a refund, who's not? And that if you postponed your wedding already, that you understand that it's still really uncertain right now, and that what is your policy going forward? Will you postpone them again? You did once, so maybe they'll think you'll do it again. Will you not? Will there be a fee? If they get, you got to work this stuff out. And you know where you work it out? In your core, in your heart, right? There's no other place to work this out, because there's no one who can tell you how to do this except you. Well, and me, right? Because I think I'm a busybody and I can tell you these things. But these are things you have to think about. What will you do? What will you do? So I want to really, really thank everyone for their questions this week, because these are not only just reiterating our own feelings and heart messages that we know. We know we want to work smarter, not harder. We want to make more money with less effort, right? We want to reach those great clients in a heartfelt way that doesn't feel fake and doesn't feel forced, but we're not sure what even to offer people to some extent, right? Because it's only small weddings. And this is the time, though, for us to drill down on these heart messages and understand what it is that we're willing to do, what risk we're willing to take, and what risk we're not willing to take. We're not willing to reschedule you again. You can say that. You can say that if that's how you feel. Let's see. Victoria says, any chance you'll be making that second risky business contract a template we can buy from you? Victoria, I will give you anything about COVID. I will just give you for free. I am not looking to make money off of COVID. So anything that, I appreciate you asking, but yeah, any language that I update around this, again, like I said, I'm not even necessarily worried about the legal liability so much as this is my policy and I want you to sign off on it. So I'm seeing messages popping up all over the place here. Catherine says, great idea of a second contract under the risk. Yes, absolutely. And Robin says, I have to update my one September wedding, my only wedding right now for fall, but this is a great thought I had not considered. Yeah, I don't want to say I had not considered it exactly, but it got really real. I feel like over the last week, this idea that people are going to postpone their already postponed weddings. And what are you going to do about that? Now is the time, right? We don't want to only be reactive in our business, especially now where you feel less control than you might have a few months ago. The best way for me to regain control when I feel uncertain, right, is to have a plan, to consider, again, that worst case scenario, right? What's the worst case scenario? You interview a delivery driver and you fire them a week later, right? What's the worst case scenario with the COVID-19 postponement or with a delivery setup? So here's another piece that I will add to this COVID clause or language. When do I get out of here? What is my, I won't do this? What's my exit strategy? How do I tell you I'm leaving here? You forfeit your money because you are not complying in a way that's safe for me. So I have to put together what my plan is, right? What it's going to look like, when I'm going to deliver, what that time window is going to be. And if I get there and anything is not right, like if I arrive, for example, and you got 10 waiters in there, wait staff in there setting tables when I told you specifically that I needed nobody in the room when I'm there, right? We might have a problem. But then I can come in and say, as you're well aware, my policy is that I don't go in and set up if there's wait staff in there. I'm leaving the boxes here with whoever, right? I'm going to have a contact person. I'm not going to just walk away, but I have to protect myself and I have to be able to have an exit strategy that's clear. So there's no question why I left here. The photographers are the one who need this the most, right? Those poor photographers are getting, I'm hearing stories, right? Of like, they're getting closed in, the walls are closing in and they don't know how to get out because everything was great when they got there and then the social distancing disappeared. Well, you got to have your exit strategy, wherever you are, whoever you are, that you have your own rules. It doesn't matter if your country, hello, United States, I'm looking at you, or your state, hello, half the states, I'm looking at you, are not protecting you and your employees. You got to protect you and your employees. Do not think for a minute that's not your job. I am here to tell you it is your job. It is your job, right? To act with an abundance of caution, more so than your state, more so than your state. I am in Vermont. I don't know what the stat is today, but a couple days ago, we were the only state with cases going down. But guess what? I am not going to drop my guard or tell people they don't need a mask or, I'm not going to do that. Now is the time to be even more diligent, right? So don't let your guard down or your business is going to be in flux for a lot longer, right? Don't let your guard down. Wear a mask for Christ's sake. Seriously, this is just going on way too long and it's going to continue here in the States until people honestly step it up. And that's us. We're leaders, right? You lead your team, you lead your business, you're a leader in your community perhaps. You might be on a board of something, right? You might be on the Chamber of Commerce. Do something, right, to lead in a way that keeps you safe, keeps your customers safe, but keep yourself and your employees safe, right? And again, we want to build a strong business so we can support our family financially. Well, let's also make sure we're protecting our family and not putting ourselves at risk because it wasn't mandated by the state or the federal government to do something that we could have done for ourselves to protect ourselves. You're smarter than that, right? You are smarter than that. That's it. That's my soapbox on that. Deborah Meadows, thank you for chiming in. She says, yes, so true. All right, so here's the deal. I want you to focus on your core. I want you to think about what is your heart message? What do your customers care about? How are you going to step this up? And like I said, I can help with that. So you might have seen I announced last week, I have this program. It's a new program called the Floralpreneur Fastrack. And this is a private one-on-one coaching situation. I'm only doing 2 floralpreneurs a month because it's not scalable, right? I can't just do like 100 florists a month. So this will be a one-on-one thing. I got an application. I'll put a link for the application. So you can let me know if you're interested. We can have a chat. You don't have to commit to coaching without talking and seeing that it actually is a good fit for you. So essentially, what I'm offering is a one-on-one exclusive time with me. And what we'll do is drill into the things that you're struggling with the most. So for example, your website messaging. Let's drill down on how you are talking to your clients So you're attracting the eager ones, right? And repelling the people who aren't the right fit. So many florists have a kind of pleasant but not specific about page or bio. There's just way too much ambiguity in the way that florists speak to their customers. It's about the flowers and it's about you, but it's not about them. And so you're missing opportunities to really speak to their heart. So some of the things that we'll do in this coaching program will be really talking about who your customers are, getting to know a little bit about who you are and what you want to offer going forward in your business. Again, it doesn't mean that you have to completely revamp your business plan right now, right? We're not talking about how do we pivot your business, although we can talk about that if you want. This is really about the long-term, the longevity of your business. Like, what do you want to be known for? How do we make that more clear to your customers? So some of the people who've done my coaching, this one-on-one Floralpreneur Fastrack program, I created this for people who asked specifically for a coaching program. And it's been really wonderful to see how quickly people make changes, how in the course of 6 weeks, you go from kind of wishy-washy, missing some really important places where people can click to contact you, to all of a sudden clearer message, better about page in terms of really expressing who you are so that you look different. That's when people choose you easily, right? So what I'll do is a website review for you. I have it set up kind of, like I said, like a program, but it's customizable because it's one-on-one. So even if you just redid your website, I can hop in there with you and help you tweak it a little bit more. I just worked with a student this month last month rather, who had a one-page website. We spoke, we decided we were going to do the coaching. All of a sudden, she hired me for coaching and hired a web designer. And within 6 weeks, she has a brand new website with multiple pages with a clear message. It looks way more professional. The last one was fine. I was willing to update it with her, right? But she transformed. So if you're in a place like that, is this program for you? Are you in a place like that where you want to get on the phone, you want to talk about where your business is going, and you're willing to make a big change? You can update your own website. You don't need to completely revamp, but that's the kind of student I'm looking for. I'm looking for somebody who really wants to do some work. So some of the things we'll do, we'll have 3 calls. It'll be one-on-one. We'll talk specifically about your struggles. This might be about your sales systems. It could be about your messaging. We're going to have 3 structured calls that pull you through this process, right? Like I said, I'll do a web review, and then I'm going to help you rework your sales copy, because people have, and this is what people struggle with the most, right? How many people have struggled with what to put on your about page? I don't know what to say. Do I say it in first person? Do I say it in third person? Are we? Am I? So when you have those sorts of identity crisis going on, I can help you with those sorts of things. And then I've got all kinds of bonuses that I include with it. So for example, if we're talking and I can see that you would benefit from a course I have, I'll throw the course on your dashboard. So you'll get hundreds of dollars, up to $300 worth of courses as well, if you need additional supplemental material. So I got all these resources for you, and I'm ready to dive in. I'm only going to do 2 a month, okay? So it'll be limited, but my hope is to do this throughout the year, till the end of the year. So we'll do 2 coaching students a month, and I'll have an application, and I'll put it up probably every month. This month, the deadline to apply is Sunday. And again, when I say apply, it's not like I have to approve you so much, but I'm not going to work with you if I don't think I can help you. And so that's really what it's about. It's not that you're not good enough for me to help you. It's that I want you to apply. I want to make sure it's the right fit for you. And then I'm not going to take your money if it's not the right fit for you. That's really what it comes down to, because it's not about anything other than drilling down on these core messages and getting it really super duper tight for you, because I want you to feel really proud of your website. I want you to feel happier about the inquiries coming in because you're eliminating price shoppers and you're getting those customers who care about these new messages that we'll put out onto your website. Oftentimes the messages are actually on your website, but they're hidden. I find a gem, something so interesting about you. And I go, why is this like 10 pages into your website? Why did I have to go so deep to find this? This needs to be a headline, right? So that's the kind of stuff we can do together. If you're interested in that, it's called Floralpreneur Fastrack. It's right on my website at realflowerbusiness.com, but I'll post a link here, and I will also, like I said, post a link to actually that application so you can just answer a few questions and we'll make sure it's the right fit for you, right? That's what it's all about. We want to make sure you're in the right place always. Catherine says, please let me know. Yes, I will absolutely let you know. And thanks so much for your interest. If you have any questions for me, feel free, enter one real quick before I log off. But I will be back here, like I said, at the beginning of this broadcast. I mentioned a little teaser. Francois Weeks will be here with me next Tuesday. So I'm really looking forward to that. If you have questions for her, don't hesitate to shoot me a message, fill it out in the questionnaire. There's a thread here where I shared this really beautiful scarf that she made. If you haven't seen it, please go find it. It is amazing. And you can comment right there. And you can always shoot me an email or a message anytime. So that's that. That's that. That's going to be a wrap on our first July Q&A Tuesday. Thank you so much for tuning in. Whether you're here live or watching on a replay, I appreciate you taking the time. Your time is valuable, and I know that. And I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you being a member of my group, or if you're watching this on a replay on Instagram, when I post this later on Instagram, really do appreciate you tuning in and being here. And I hope you pulled away at least one thing that you can do, one thing you can focus on, one thing you can move forward toward from all this talking I've been doing for the last almost hour. Because it really is a time to not sit still. Don't sit back and wait right now. Make forward motion, level up. What's the worst that can happen? If you're afraid to level up and take that next step, what's the worst thing that happens? What's the worst case scenario? And if that worst case scenario isn't actually so scary, don't be afraid. Jump on it, okay? And if your level up is coaching with me, please don't be afraid. I don't bite. And one of the number one things that I hear every time I get on a call with a coaching student is, oh my gosh, it's you. You sound just like you. So this is me. Like, this is who you will get when we sign up. Don't be surprised when I sound just like me. Okay, I love you guys for tuning in. Keep moving forward. Keep doing beautiful work. And I'll see you next week with Francois. Okay, bye.